All right. It is now 7 p.m. Central on Monday night, which means it must be time for office hours. I am your host, Chris Donaldson. Welcome to my office. I know when office hours first begins, there's always going to be a collection of people waiting to get in. So we're going to let everybody filter in. Hopefully we'll get Facebook Live up and going here. For whatever reason, it's buggy. But for those of you that are chiming in, welcome to Office Hours. I'm, again, your host, Chris Donaldson. And real quick, let me make sure that those of you that may be watching for the first time, if you would like to connect with me, here's how you can connect with me in the future. So as everybody's getting into the live stream and as everybody is jumping on, make sure that you connect with me or that you know where you can find future information dealing with office hours, primarily, of course, on YouTube and Facebook, but all of these are great places to connect. So welcome to the show. You have made it. I'm so glad that you're here and spending a few minutes on your Monday night with us. And we've got a show chocked full of value for you. I just cannot wait to share with you some of the stuff that we're going to do. So without further ado, for those of you that are here right on time, I'm going to give you the reward of getting that extra piece of information in the beginning. When it comes to office hours, the purpose of this show, if you've never seen it before, is, well, it was originally a way for me to be able to connect with all of our students and customers and clients who are spread really nationwide in online courses at different campuses and all of these different places. And they always had questions and things that they wanted to talk about. So I said, hey, well, let's go ahead and have a weekly meeting where we can get together. Sure enough, my emails and social media and everything started blowing up with a bunch of our advanced agents or people that have licenses and are running businesses like, man, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about this. And so actually now Office Hours has become a weekly show on Monday nights where we're going to address lots of different issues that deal with both real estate, but also we're dealing with entrepreneurship and life in general. You know, something I talk about all the time is something I call the success formula. And it's really the formula for success in business, success in life, success in really getting out of your short time here what you actually want. Because it's really a shame that there's so many people out there that are kind of swimming around in their life and their career, and they're not really getting out of it what they want. And my goal is to really help everybody reach their full potential. So if you want to boil down to what Chris Talks and Office Hours is really all about, it's helping you reach your full potential, whatever that happens to be. So if you stick around for the show, the opening segment's going to be on the main topic at hand. And then the second half of the show is reserved for live Q&A. So one of the reasons I like to do this show live, uncut, in HD, worldwide, is I want to have a chance to answer questions that you bring to us, real estate related or otherwise. So if you've never been a guest on the show and you have a question and you'd like us to discuss it live on the air, there's 3 ways you can make sure we do that. One is to tweet at me at Chris Talks Daily and use the hashtag Office Hours. So ask your question and we'll find it there. The second way is if you have RSVP'd on the Facebook event page to post your question there. Or the third is to email your question to officehours@donaldsoneducation.com. So it's officehours@donaldsoneducation.com. As you can see, I'm fooling here. I'm trying to get Facebook Live up because a lot of you said you loved the Facebook Live. It was easier to use and to find. So we're trying to get that going. We'll see if we can't get it going. And get the technology working for us. All right. So the concept at hand, which is most powerful to me, is that of time management. And what I want you guys to understand, and what I really want you to know about the concept of time management as a whole, is that it is so much more than just what people hear when they hear time management. And what I mean by that is, guys, time management could really be kind of whittled down into success management, happiness management, stress management. because it really amazes me how many people are walking around out there, whether they're in the real estate business or really in any business, and they just always have the same thing they're saying. I don't have enough time, or I'm stressed out because I can't get everything done, or it's this and that and the other. And so if you've ever said something like that, felt overwhelmed, you can't get your work done, or man, you just don't know quite what you should be doing, that's what time management, and that's what my take on it is really all about. So I really want to give you the background and where this kind of became a passion of mine, because it'll help you understand that, you know, we all feel the same way at various parts of our life, depending on what it is that we're going through. So for some of you, this might sound silly, and for some of you, you're going to get it. And that is what really started my passion for time management, kind of really getting it in order, was when I turned 30. I'm going to tell you guys, for those of you that may know me, I took my 30th birthday, worse than anybody probably ever. I mean, for some reason, 30 just hit me like a ton of bricks. I hated it. I didn't want to party. I didn't want to celebrate. Just something about going from my 20s to my 30s just drove me nuts. I mean, it was the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. I mean, literally, we had no party. I was really just kind of on my own. I don't know what it is. You hear about this with people in 40 and 50 or beyond, but 30 was it for me. And I think for some reason it was because I had spent my entire 20s building and working on my business. I had spent my entire 20s really given my 20s to a business. And not that I was upset about that. It was, man, I just turned 30 and I have so much more I want to do. And so for me, what 30 did was go, man, you better get in gear and start accomplishing all of the stuff that you want to accomplish. And so for me, when it comes to time management, it's going to help you survive and get things done, and also not go to the grave feeling like, man, I just wish I would have tried this, or I wish I would have had time to do that, because that kind of stuff is totally crazy. It's ridiculous. You do have time and you can get it done. And so, all right, we got some Facebook Live, so hang in there, guys. I've always got technology backup. See, one of these I'm talking about is technology. If you have one phone that's not working, bust out the other one. All right. So when it comes to time management, what I want you guys to understand, and really why I freaked out when I turned 30, was just, man, I had all this other stuff I wanted to do. I had all of this stuff that I wanted to accomplish. Was I going to be able to do that? And so for me, it's really a passion. It's an obsession. And what I want you guys to know is that I don't take this lightly. I mean, when I'm talking about time management, I'm telling you guys, I don't mess around. And the reason I don't mess around is just like I just said, I'm already now 30 years old. I have all these things I want to accomplish. I don't have time to waste. So when it comes to that, if you're in the real estate business especially, stay tuned. Or if you run your own business, I've got some really important pieces of advice for you. Some things that I really want you to hear. Because just if you're sitting there watching, for instance, have you ever said, man, I'd really like to work out or exercise more, but I don't have the time? Or I'd really like to eat better, or, you know, have a better diet, but I don't have time. Have you ever told yourself anything like that? Well, then this show is for you. Because really what I'm going to help you understand is a lot of that is a lie. It's a lie that we tell ourselves, or it's a lie that we let others tell us. And so what you need to understand primarily, especially if you're new to real estate or running a business for the first time, is the complexity of the idea that when you wake up in the morning, the only person making you work is you. And so what you've got to understand is managing your time is not just a good idea, it's an absolute necessity. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to go backwards, turn around in circles, and maybe end up failing. But really, it's because you just didn't understand what you should be doing every day, how you should be managing your time, et cetera, et cetera. And so what I want you guys to know, especially if you're new to real estate, is the idea that if you're your own boss, that comes with all of the freedoms, and it comes with all of the problems. And the problems are nobody's telling you what you have to do. Or if you own your own business, a real estate business or otherwise, what about you feel like you spend all day on everybody else's problems? It's another common complaint you hear people say, or another issue that you hear with people is I feel like I spend all day just putting out fires and doing stuff for other people, and I never feel like I'm moving forward. And so at the principle of what I'm going to show you is actually the concept of time management is a total myth. It's a total myth. There's really no such thing as time management. We all have a limited amount of time in a day, in a week, in a month, in a quarter, in a year, and in life to get things done. So actually, you've got two choices. You can use your time effectively and productive, or you can waste it. But you can't make more. You can't really save it. You can't really manage it. You can just choose how and what you're doing with your time and try to do it at a different level. And so one of the things that I want to share with you is, if you've been watching Office Hours along the way, you've seen we've talked about goals and having a vision of what you're trying to accomplish and how important that is. And guys, whether you're watching on Facebook or Periscope or the YouTube feed, I want you guys to understand you're never going to get anywhere if you don't know where you're trying to go. And so my first and my main principle that I'd love to share with you about just the concept of time management is this, and that is you've got to have goals, and then you have to have guts. You've got to have the goals, and then you've got to have the guts to chase those goals, to prioritize those goals, and to put everybody else's stuff secondary. And what I mean by that is a great leader of a business, of a family, of whatever it is that you're doing, you've got to understand that you've got to have the goals of what you need to accomplish and the guts to carry those out, which means sometimes you'll have to put other things off. Sometimes you're going to have the guts to suck it up and do something that maybe you don't feel like doing today because you know it's really important. When you work for yourself, you're not going to feel like operating at a top level every single day, but it doesn't mean you can just mail it in and take a day off. You've got to understand that you've got to have goals and then the guts to carry them out. So you probably have all heard, like if we're dealing with time management, okay, yeah, you've got to have a to-do list, or you've got to have a schedule, or you got to do this and you've got to do that. And so I'm going to share with you, yes, that is true, but I'm also going to share with you that you have to have more than that. And what you have to have is not just a task list, but one that is prioritized. Because if your task list is not prioritized, then it's not really a task list. We got Periscope feed went down, but that's all right. That's all part of the fun. And so what I want you guys to understand is that just having a to-do list is not enough. And the big mistake that people have is that they have a to-do list, but usually a to-do list came out of the order of stuff as it just flew around in your mind. Like you sat there in the morning and maybe you got to get the oil changed in your car and you got to do your dry cleaning. And, oh, yeah, I've got to finish that project at work and I've got to do that marketing campaign. I've got to reach out to those people that reached out to me, et cetera, but it's not in any sort of an order of prioritization. And so the way you can prioritize it is by attaching your daily list to your ultimate goal. And so what you need to understand is what you should be doing first is what's the most important, and everything else comes after that. That is absolutely paramount to succeeding in any business whatsoever. And what I mean by that is, look, if you are out there and you've got a to-do list and you go to the dry cleaner in the morning and then you go get your oil changed and then you take care of your groceries, and so you've spent half your day and gotten some stuff done, but you haven't worked on your business yet, your list is messed up. Because for me, if I don't work on my business, it doesn't matter if the oil's changed in my car, or who cares about the dry cleaning, and definitely not groceries. I don't want to even spend money if I hadn't worked on making more. And so not only having the task list, but understanding how to prioritize it becomes huge. So in other words, every single day you start with what makes your business money. So as an example, let's talk to you guys in real estate, our real estate agents out there. It's the difference between being productive and being busy. You hear this all the time, or just doing things to do them rather than doing things that are growing your business. So the hardest part for most people when you're starting a new business, like I just became a real estate agent, is prospecting, marketing, generating leads for business, for new business, to have clients at all. And if you've never been in sales before, it's not easy, right? We all know that. But it doesn't necessarily involve all these things you may hear out there, cold calling necessarily, cold knocking on doors necessarily, but just the idea of sitting down for 2 or 3 hours a day and prospecting, doing the activities that generate business, guys, that's your priority. Nothing else matters. So as an example, if you start your day by what everybody else needs you to do for them, then you may not necessarily be growing your business. So I'll give you a great example. Me personally, I've got 3 businesses, starting another one. My email box, if you think yours looks crazy, mine is just like yours, and most of them need a response. That is not how my day starts. And the reason for that is what's in my email box, like so many other people's, is not a cash register. It's not money. It's not leads. What's in my email box most days are things that need to get done, other people's problems on their timeline. And so if I simply answer and respond to emails as they come in, I'm never going to get anywhere, because now the person emailing me is forcing me to run by their rules. Let's talk about your cell phone. Look, I'm over here streaming on Periscope and I'm on Facebook Live. Those of you, look, here's what it looks like from the other side. And, you know, I'm all about technology. I love my phone, but I sure as heck am not available on my phone immediately 24 hours a day. That's impossible, because all I would do all day is answer emails, text messages, and everything else. So what you have to do, if you really want to grow your business and be happy, feel satisfied, is block off time on a daily basis and do the most important stuff during that block of time, then everything else. So as an example, prospecting and lead generation, working on your database, reaching out to your database. That's the most important work in real estate you're going to do today, then everything else. Because we've all had that day. You go, especially if you're getting into business because you want to get out of, you know, office work or whatever you're doing, where you're clocking in, you're clocking out. And we've all had that day where you work tirelessly. You're just busy running around all day. And when the day's over, man, I feel like I went backwards. I didn't get anywhere. And oftentimes that's true, because you may have been just putting out fires, dealing with other people's stuff. And not that that isn't important, but it's not the number one priority. So for me, as an example, if I'm in the middle of writing a book, well, that's my most important priority. And I'm going to do that first before I get to anything else. Or for instance, this live show right here, it's not as easy as it may look to put something like this on. It's a priority. So I'm going to make sure all of the show prep, all of the branding, all of the marketing, everything that needs to be done beforehand is done before I'm going to go on to anything else today. And so what I want you guys to understand is, if you really want to manage your time effectively, it's not just a task list, it's a prioritized task list. Then you've got to block out your time. And so I'm going to show you a couple of slides from a seminar that I do, because I want to show you what it looks like, just kind of to give you a visual aid. Those of you that are watching down here, Periscope and Facebook, you need to catch the YouTube stream. That's where you're going to be able to see everything, okay? See, you're missing out on this stuff. So go to the YouTube stream and you'll be able to see that stuff. So operating in a block of time is so important, because you actually schedule whatever it is that you need to do. Therefore, nothing else can get in the way. And so if you have that block of time, nobody can schedule an appointment with you while you're doing your important work. Nothing's going to squeeze in there while you're doing your important work, because you're making that a priority. So let's say that's 3 or 4 hours a day. Well, guys, you still got 20 hours a day to do all of that other stuff. But the most important thing is a priority, and you have it blocked out in your schedule. I cannot emphasize enough of how important that is. So for me, my daily schedule is in 15-minute increments. And I can tell you that every block of time is sacred. So it's either my writing, if that's what I'm doing, or generating leads, or responding to emails, or teaching a class, or whatever the case it may be. And then everything else fits in around that. But I know when not to put aside the most important work to do something I may think is going to keep me busy, but really it's just busy work. Guys, tweet this out. Remember this, write this down. If you run your own business, you cannot prioritize busy work. So you cannot prioritize busy work. If you walk into my office and I'm filing, then, I mean, you know, something's wrong. And it's not because I'm above filing. It's because that is so far down the list of things that I need to be doing that if I'm filing, that means I can't think of anything else to do that's productive. And that's probably not a good idea. So if you're just doing stuff to stay busy because it makes you feel good, but it's not growing your business, it's not the right thing. I want to talk about another one of my passions when it comes to time management, really stress management. And the second piece is all about your technology. Because here we are, we're streaming all over the world. You guys are watching your cell phone. Y'all are hitting me up with all kinds of tweets and messages and all of these things. And what I want you guys to understand is that's awesome. But your technology, don't forget, is a tool that's supposed to work for you, to help you. It's not supposed to be the other thing around where your technology takes over. And one of the things that I think we found in society today is, guys, you don't have more problems than somebody had 10 years ago or 15 years ago or 20 years ago or 100 years ago or even a caveman. But your problems are way more accessible. Your problems are in the palm of your hand 24 hours a day. So we feel like we have more problems. We feel like we have more to do. We feel like we have all this stuff going on when the reality is we're letting our technology take over. So what I want you to understand is you should have blocks of time, both where you are immediately available by cell phone, especially if you're in real estate. You know how important that is. But you've got to schedule blocks of time when you're not, because you're human. For instance, I'm going to tell you the first lie that a lot of real estate agents say to a client that sounds good, but it's a total lie. And if you guys have taken my class, you've heard this one, and that is, oh, I'm available 24/7. You contact me anytime. That's impossible. It sounds really good. I'm available 24/7. You contact me anytime. Unless you're a robot, that's impossible. You have to sleep. You've got to turn your phone off. It's got to sit on the charger for a few hours. Like, that's impossible. So if you don't schedule time away from your phone, at least to sleep, well, you're going to drive yourself up the wall. So here's what you need to do. You need to take back control of your technology and realize that whether you're a Droid or you're an iPhone or whatever it is that you're using, your tablet, you name it, they all have settings which are designed for you to do what you want. These are inanimate objects. They're not living. They don't breathe. They don't have feelings. Your cell phone does not have feelings. If you throw it on the floor and don't look at it for 10 hours, it's not going to hold that against you. It's just an object. And you need to understand that you control that object. So if you're a real estate agent, I want to give you an example. When you sit down with your seller and you're going to list their home, shouldn't you set expectations and talk with them about when you're available, what your office hours are? In other words, when can you reach me? Because if you tell them anytime or 24/7, well, what if somebody works the night shift? You're sleeping and it's 3 a.m. and they call you and you don't answer, and they're beside themselves because you didn't answer the phone because they had a question right now. If you think that's silly, people out there are like that. If you've ever had a client like that, tweet it. I want to hear about it because people are like that. If I told you I'm available 24/7 and then don't answer, guys, I kind of set myself up for that. But if I tell a client, you know, I'm just making up numbers, from 7 to 7, I'm immediately available. Text, phone, email, whatever it is. And my phone's right here in my hand, and I will immediately respond. But after that is my family time, and then I'm sleeping. And so I just want you to know, with 12 hours a day, I am absolutely available immediately. So if you set those expectations with your client, whatever your chosen hours are, they're going to be reasonable. They're going to understand. Like, Chris has to sleep. So if I call him at 2 a.m., he may not call me back until 7 a.m. But the second part of that is the guts. And that is, if you tell your client that, you better do it. So that means if you tell your clients, I'm available from 7 to 7, you better be available. One of the number one complaints that clients have about their real estate agents is that they can't get in touch with them. It's an epidemic in our industry. If you're in any industry, not even just real estate, but especially real estate, the biggest complaint people have is they cannot get in touch with you. And so a lot of times the reason for that is you're overwhelmed. You're too busy. You have too many phone calls and texts and emails and coming into your phone that you can't handle. And so you either need to devise a system where you can handle that in an appropriate way, or you may be time, if you're that busy, where you need to hire somebody to help you. Don't think that I'm not going to hire somebody and save that money. Well, what about your sanity? What about the effectiveness of your business? What about your own personal happiness and life work balance? So if you're really that busy and your clients cannot get in touch with you because you have all of those listings and all of that going on, maybe it's time to hire help. So when it comes to controlling your technology, I'm very passionate about that, because even though I'm in this generation, social media generation, streaming all over the world, I'm also going to tell you there's times where I put this thing down and I'm not looking at it. And the reason for that is I can't write a book and be text messaging. I can't, record a webinar and have my head doing something else. One of the biggest myths in society is multitasking. I'm going to tell you that right now. When we bring in people to our office, I train them. Don't multitask, because that means you're going to have to do two things at the same time. The human brain is not able to concentrate fully. So right now, if you're watching this show, but you're also watching TV, or you're reading through stuff, or you're digging around on the internet, you're missing things that I'm saying. And you're missing words in that article or whatever you're trying to watch on TV. You cannot do two things at the same time. And so the best way to control that stuff is to have a block of time where you return all of your emails, a block of time where you get all your text messages back, a block of time where you return all those voicemails for all those people that have questions about properties. If you prioritize and set them up as blocks of time, now you'll find, man, it's just 30 minutes a day. And I just sit there and concentrate and just knock them out. Concentrate. This is my phone time, and just knock them out. And all of a sudden you take control of your technology. You take control of your stress. You take control of your career, and it really is going to feel good. I mean, let me ask you a question. If you're watching this show, I really want to know, tweet or put it on the Facebook post. I want to know, how many emails do you have in your inbox right now? Let's make this a challenge. How many emails do you have? If you pick up your phone and you look at your inbox, how many emails do you have? If the number is any more than 0, why? And I'll tell you why. Because that means you haven't gotten back to people, or you're overwhelmed by how much stuff is coming in, and therefore you're losing track. So I'm going to do something that probably nobody on earth would do live on the air, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to show you my inbox. Now, some of you have probably been emailing me during the show, but I want y'all to check this out. This is my inbox. I run 3 companies. I'm the CEO of 2 and the president of another. I want y'all to see something. That's my inbox. That's my inbox. Notice it's empty. My primary tab is empty. And that's not by accident, because I set aside time every day where I get all of my emails done. Everybody gets a response. Any of you that are watching this, if you've ever emailed me, you get a response within 24 hours. That's what I promise. I respond to everybody. But I want you guys to see, it's empty. Inbox 0, which means when I come back to work in the morning, let's say my next block of time is 7 a.m., I'll have whatever emails came in between now and 7 a.m., and then I can respond to those. But the idea of just letting emails accumulate is no different than taking mail and just stacking it up in the corner for months and months and months and months and months. Dude, that's ridiculous. You're going to miss stuff. And the most important thing, I want everybody here, and I'm going to stop screen sharing. Guys, if your inbox is working as your to-do list, you already went wrong. Because if you're answering and doing things in the order they come in to your inbox, your system is flawed. Because you should be doing things in the priority based on your goals and have the guts to carry that out. So if I have an email that doesn't really need a response for 2 weeks because it's on something down the road, then I've got systems where I'll delay that and get back to it in 2 weeks. But it's not just going to sit in my email box, because it's going to just cause clutter. And I'm going to be losing my mind trying to figure out all of the different stuff that I need to do. And so I want you guys to understand that your inbox is not, you're not supposed to be a slave to your inbox. It's the other way around. I'm really big on that because it makes you look bad. You'll forget emails and all of this kind of stuff. I know there's people out there that love to do that. They got their heads in their phone all day long. Well, if I'm running a customer service operation or something to that effect, well, that's my job. But if you're growing a business, you can't be on your phone 24 hours a day. It's like impossible. And so I want you guys to understand that you got to have a system in place. That's how you regain your sanity. Especially the more stuff you get, right? The more emails you get, the more all of this stuff. It's going to drive you nuts. And so if you hang in there, we're about to take a quick break so I can just introduce a couple of things for those that are jumping on. But I've got a technology tool that I'm going to show you to help you control your email inbox that's actually free. And I really would encourage everybody to implement this. So here's the third really main point I want to make to everybody, whether you're a real estate agent, an entrepreneur, or what have you. And that is this. You need, if you want to control your time and your stress, you need a daily schedule, a daily routine. In other words, you need to have a routine where there is time set aside every day for you. Because I'm going to explain to you, you cannot be your best. You cannot feel your best, be your most productive, and your most effective for others who do need you unless you have time every day to yourself. Just away from all of that stuff. To go for your run in the morning, or to just sit down and read a book, maybe go play golf for an hour in the evening, or hit balls at the driving range, or guys, whatever it is, you've got to have time for yourself. Every successful person has a routine where part of their day is that personal time. That's how you keep your sanity. I'm a big believer in doing that first thing in the morning. I'm a big believer in if you start your day with you. So the first hour of my day is for me to go exercise, to read my books, to write down my goals, to reaffirm my affirmation. Like the first hour of my day is for me and for my self-worth and for my own sanity. Before the rest of the world comes at me at 1,000,000 miles an hour, I'm going to handle the 1,000,000 miles an hour a whole lot better. And so I want you guys to understand that setting time for yourself is not selfish, it's essential. So I really think you should have a morning routine. I think you should exercise in the morning. I think you should read in the morning. Have some quiet time where you just kind of collect your thoughts in the morning. And it sets the tone and you'll feel better all day long. And if you're the kind of person that says, well, I would do that, Chris, but you don't understand my schedule. I don't have the time to do that. Really? Here's the challenge. Everybody watching, write this down. Here's your challenge. And I want you to email it to me. I want you to prove it. Here's the challenge. Most people won't do this because they don't really want to know. Starting tomorrow for 24 hours, chart everything that you do every minute of your day. How tough is that? Starting when you wake up in the morning, first thing, what time did you wake up? How long did it take you to get dressed or to get to the gym or to wrangle the kids? How long did you sit in traffic? How long did it take you before you got to the office, whatever it is? 24-hour challenge. Because here's what you're going to realize if you do that. Somewhere in there, you're wasting time, or there's time wasters that you can probably eliminate. I mean, one of my favorite things ever is when people tell me, Chris, you don't understand, I don't have the time to run a big business like that or do all those things. You don't understand my schedule. But they watch Game of Thrones religiously. Their Netflix account has got smoke coming out of it because they watch reruns and they watch episode after episode after episode. And so what I want you guys to understand is don't lie to yourself, because then you're just not being as productive. Put down Game of Thrones and go call a few potential clients. Put down, the Netflix controller or the video game controller, and maybe start performing, start putting together that blog post or that Facebook post or something that's going to generate leads for your business. Man, that Netflix, you know what's great about it? It'll be there tomorrow. It's going to sit there for $10 a month. You can watch it whenever you want. So technology is helping you be more productive and stress-free, but you got to understand how to use it for you. One of the biggest things that we're finding, if you study marketing and advertising, is that television, by and large, commercials are losing their appeal. Why? When's the last time you watched commercials? Right? Because you're either watching a streaming service or you're fast forwarding through them if you recorded a show. Guys, people are not watching them like they used to. So we have to reevaluate. Well, what that also means is I can watch TV at the pace and when and how I want. And that's huge. And so what I really want you to know is it starts at the top. You got to have your goals. What do you want? What do you want? If you just started a real estate business, how much money do you want to make? It's okay to put hard numbers on paper and say, I want to make X. How many transactions do you want? How much are your bills? Or I want to build a business that does this or that or the other. If you don't know where you're going, you can't steer the ship and get there. You just can't do it. And then you got to have the guts to prioritize every day. Because something that should never happen to you is that you get fired up and you get dressed and you go to the work, you go to your office as an entrepreneur, somebody running your own business, and then you don't know what to do. So you just start responding to emails and take a couple phone calls and you do this and that and the other. Well, if I'm in customer service or, that's the block of time, that's good. But if I'm doing that stuff because I really don't know what else to do, are you really running your business or is your business running you? It's something that I want you to think about because you're in control. All of these technological tools have put you in control. So, all right, I've got all these things that I wanted to talk about. It's a little after 7:30, so I want to take a moment first, and all of you that are watching in all the various mediums, thank you so much for taking the time to watch Office Hours. This is actually going to be the last show for a while that I'm going to do, quote, solo. Actually, we've got some great things coming in the next few weeks for Office Hours, so I want to take a moment and let you know what's going on. Obviously, next Monday is July 4th, but after that, we have a string of shows every Monday in July and into August where we're going to have a special guest on that's going to talk about a special topic in the industry. So I'm really excited because not July 4th, that's a holiday, but the next Monday after that, July 11th, I have a special guest on, and the topic of the show is going to be Zillow, friend or foe. So if you want to talk Zillow, and you really want to dive in and see, as a real estate practitioner, are they your friend or are they a threat? Zillow, friend or foe, is going to be the next episode, and I'm going to have an expert that's got lots of insight for you that's going to be able to help you understand. So Office Hours, going forward, we're going to have a guest on every show. If you watched last week, just like Joe, shout out to Joe if you're here. And I want you guys to know that we're going to pick bigger and bigger and bigger topics that we know you want to hear about. Because the purpose of Office Hours was for me to have a way to talk about what you really need to hear about, specifically in the real estate industry, not just the canned stuff that's out there. I want to talk about the real issues with the real people that it matters to. So the next episode, July 11th, is going to be Zillow, friend or foe. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss the show, there's two important things that you can do. First, if you're watching on YouTube, whether this is the replay or live, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's a great way to make sure that you never miss an episode of Office Hours. The second thing you can do is go to the website and subscribe by simply putting in your email. Quick and easy to make sure that we notify you whenever there's a new episode. It's christalks.com/office hours. It's that simple. christalks.com/office hours. Sign up for the VIP Army, we call you, and that way you will never miss another episode. So the next episode after this one is going to be Zillow, friend or foe. I think that's going to be a can't miss. So I hope you guys are there. All right, so I'm going over here to the various mediums and checking the questions. Hopefully, if you're enjoying the show so far, let me know that you're enjoying the show. Send me a tweet, like us on Facebook, whatever the case may be. Make sure that you let us know how you feel about what we're doing. I see that the Facebook feed for some reason went out. It looks like, we're just getting more volume in different mediums, so it's getting a little bit harder, which is a good problem. Growing pains, if you will. But if you guys have questions, remember, now is the time to post your real estate related question, or really your business question. So remember, there's 3 ways you can post your question. You can tweet at me at Chris Talks Daily and put hashtag office hours. You can email your question to officehours@donaldsoneducation.com, or you can post it on the Facebook event page where a lot of you RSVP'd for tonight's show. So I want to get to your questions, because an important part of office hours is the Q&A. It's making sure that I am reaching out to you guys and giving you as much value as possible, because it matters to me. Because if we talk about these things like time management and all these various issues, there's going to be specific questions that are going to come up, specific things that you're going to wonder. For instance, I had a question that came in by email earlier that I wanted to address. And this question was, well, Chris, if my lead generation system is coming in electronically, well, then how do you suggest I block my time off for that? Really good question, by the way. So if somebody's got a system in place where they're generating leads, and those leads are coming in with notifications to their email, text message, or whatever, well, then obviously, whoever's first oftentimes wins. And it's really important to make sure that you follow up. And so if you've got leads coming in, you want to make sure that when the majority of them are coming in, that's the time that you're readily available, like immediately on your phone. So what you want to do is track everything that you do. We talk about that all the time. So you'd want to track your leads and figure out, when does the great majority of volume come in? And that's the time that you want to be readily available on your phone. But it doesn't mean that you need to have the ring set really loud. And if a lead comes in at 3:30 in the morning, that you need to jump out of bed and go respond to it. Because in addition to that, you can set up systems where you have auto responders that respond back to these leads and let them know when you'll be in contact. That's why the big discussion of artificial intelligence and all of that is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger, because now when you reach out to a company for a question, there's going to be an artificial algorithm that's going to be able to answer your question immediately. And so that technology is getting better and better and better. We'll be able to employ that in our real estate business. So if somebody, clicks on your listing, they'll get an automatic reply that might be able to help them get their information before you're even able to contact them. So if you're the type of person that's got an excellent lead generation system coming in, well, then you want to make sure that whenever the leads are hot, whenever they come in the most, that's the time you need to be available by phone. For instance, at our school, I'll just give you a great example. The busiest time at our school is first thing in the morning, lunchtime. Those are the 2 times when we get the most traffic on the phones. So guess what? We organize our people, our customer support staff, to where they are most available. Like, we have all of our people on deck first thing in the morning and during the lunch hour. So lunch hour around here is a different hour than the rest of you, because that's when you pick up your phone and you ask questions, or the students come out for lunch break of class and need help from our staff. So it's just logical. But the only way I would know that is, of course, through the feel of running a business, but also through tracking. So if I were you, I'd want to track, when do my calls come in? When do my texts come in? When do my emails come in? And that's when you want to make sure that you're right on top of things. It's all about having a system. I'm a big believer in systems. You got to make your own system. And one thing about your system, real quick, as I'm looking over here at the social media and the questions that are coming in, one thing about your system, make sure that it's pliable. And what I always say is, everything that we do time management wise is carved in water. And what that means is, don't be afraid to put in a system or a method that you're going to do things and then change it, because situations are going to change. For instance, if you're in real estate business and you're hustling to build a business, prospecting, lead generation, and then all of a sudden you got 15 listings, your priorities are going to change. Now you may not need to be heavily prospecting as much. You need to service the 15 clients you now have. So your system, your priorities have got to change as your business changes, or the life cycle, the business cycle changes. That's really important. So I say it's always carved in water. The overall theme is important. Do what's most important first, what's going to grow your business. But what that actually is likely going to change over time. Okay, so for those of you out there that want to control email, here's my free tool, the free tech tool that I want you guys to look into. And I'm going to show it to you so that you can find it and download it. I've seen this mentioned a few places, and it's a tool that I use, and I love it. I actually have the paid version because I use it so much. There is a limit to how much they'll let you use it free. But the tool that I want you guys to use, let's see, I want to share my screen. It's called Boomerang. The most common email program out there is Gmail. So odds are if you have email, it's likely being fed through Gmail. There are similar tools for all the different services, but since most people use Gmail, we're going to use this as an example. And what I want you to see is that what Boomerang does is it allows me, remember that email I talked about earlier, that email where I said, hey, I'm going to do that in 2 weeks, like this needs a response, but not right this second. Well, if you understand what a boomerang does, you throw it Australian and it comes back. Well, what Boomerang does is say, I'm going to save this email for later, and then it comes back on a schedule that you determine. So for me, what's going to happen to that email that I don't want to respond to right now, but I do need to respond, but it's got like a different time limit, I'll boomerang it, and then in 2 weeks, it'll come back into my inbox as a fresh email. What most people are going to do is just let that email sit there. It's just going to sit there in your inbox, and it's going to work its way down until it gets forgotten about or something else bad happens. You delete it by accident, whatever the case may be. So what Boomerang allows you to do is to actually have it come back when you need to respond. Because for me, you saw my email box earlier, with a clean slate every single day, every email that comes in, I have a plan for it, whether I'm going to delete it because it's trash, whether I'm going to respond immediately, get back to my staff, delegate what needs to be delegated, or most importantly, delay, and I will take care of all of my emails during the appropriate block of time. So if you use Gmail, there is a free version. You just download it on your laptop or whatever you're using for your email client, and it's a free service where you can help control your email. Because my 24-hour challenge to you is to really watch what you do with your time for the next 24 hours. If you really do that, I think you'll be amazed how you waste time. It's not because you're a human being, but if you've got a priority, something that you need to get to, like fitness. I know I need to exercise, and you're the person that says, I don't have time. But then you track your time for 24 hours and you realize, man, I watch TV for 3 hours every night. If I just cut it to 2, I can easily work out an hour a day. But the only way you'll be able to figure that out is to meticulously track your time and plan it out. It's going to be tough, but it's something that you're definitely going to want to make sure that you do. So in review, the 3 big things, remember, number 1, operate in a block of time. You got to have the goals and then the guts to carry those out, which means to block out time to do what's most important. Number 2, you've got to take control of your technology. Boomerang is a tool that I want you to use to take control of your technology. And number 3, establish a daily routine that's for you. I really encourage you to do that in the morning. First thing, start your day with you. Like, I'm a big exercise in the morning person. Read in the morning, start my day, get everything right. Because once, like so many of you, once I get to the office, there's a million things going on. So if I start my day for me, everything else is going to be much more manageable. And I really think more people should be taking advantage of that. It's okay to take time for you. You have to take care of yourself at some point. Because if every minute of every day is on everybody else's schedule, you're going to begin to struggle. And you're likely not going to feel fulfilled. And that's not something that's fair to anyone. It's okay. And you need to have time for yourself every single day. So one last thing I'd like to do for you guys, a couple of things before we go. Number 1, if you guys have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go ahead and click and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. And then send me an email and let me know you did. officehours@donaldsoneducation.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send anybody that does that, subscribes to the YouTube channel and sends me an email and lets me know, I'm going to send you a link to where you can watch a free segment, a long form segment of the actual time management seminar that we give here at our school. So if you want to actually watch it in full form and see action steps that you can use to really build your business, I'd love to have you be able to watch that. So all you got to do is subscribe to my channel on YouTube and then send an email to officehours@donaldsoneducation.com to let me know that you did that. Now, one thing that I noticed last week that was really popular that I wanted to make sure that we fit in before the show was over, that you guys, the high achievers, y'all are readers. So now I'm going to start offering a book of the week that I think you guys should look into. And so a book of the week is something that I think if you're looking for something to read, because there's so much out there, I want to give you good books to read, especially in real estate. So my book of the week for you this week is called Real, A Path to Passion, Purpose, and Profits in Real Estate. If you're a new agent, this is a really good book because they say real because it's going to tell you what the business is really about. And it's made up essentially with industry leaders. Look at all the people that have a segment that wrote a chapter in this book. So people that have been there and done it, run huge companies, right? Top producing agents. They're going to tell you what the business is all about. Really neat book. So you can find it, of course, all the places, Amazon, where I buy most of my books. Real, I think this is a good book. So you are new to the business and you're looking for a book to read, that's the one. So guys, please make sure that you subscribe and that you join us here on Office Hours. We're going to take a break for July 4th, and then the show is going to ramp up, and we're going to have a special guest every week, and we're going to take on the biggest topics in real estate because we know that the only way you can succeed is to stay informed. So thanks, guys, for watching the latest episode of Office Hours. If you have any questions or follow-up, please email me anytime. Chris@christalks.com or officehours@donaldsoneducation.com. You can find me there. And, of course, I'm highly available on social media. So if you want to find me there, you can always reach me, and I'll show you the places right here in a second, the slide where you can reach me on social media. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Office Hours. I cannot wait till July 11th to take on the show and grow it to the big real estate topic show that we know that it's going to be. Thank you guys for your early support. I can't wait to see you next time. Here's how you can connect. Please stay in touch. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course, Snapchat. You can use that QR code. Follow me on Snapchat. Guys, we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.